Stand by for signal.
The prank call. It was a great night out. Andrew hit up no less than 3 bars, and it sure felt like he had. In his opinion, there's no better way to end the night than a big greasy meal. Getting out of the Uber, he approached the Denny's to try and soak up some of the alcohol wreaking havoc on his system. While stumbling through the parking lot, Andrew noticed a business card on the ground. The inquisitive soul that he is, an investigation was in order. Andrew picked up the card and flipped it over. I find what's lost, call to be found. Followed by a smudged yet legible phone number. The number was weird, as it started with a 000. Whatever, weird phone number or not, Andrew's looking for trouble. He took out his phone and dialed the number.
Hello, is this Ricky?
Said Andrew in a gruff country accent.
Can you help, Ricky?
There was a long pause on the other end, filled with faint static, as if the line was stretching across a vast distance. Then, a low, rasping voice replied, its tone matter of fact.
Ricky doesn't need help, but you do, Andrew.
A shiver ran through him as the voice continued, softer now, like a whisper slipping through the phone.
Thank you for calling. Now I can find you.
The line went dead, leaving only silence. I gotta stop prank calling with my real number. Shrugging off the cold sweat on his neck, Andrew stumbled into the Denny's to eat. While at the table, he receives a text.
Enjoy your meal. I'll see you soon.
Fucking come on, man, Andrew said to himself. The initial shock had already worn off, and he couldn't care less if some guy has his location. Andrew finished, paid, and called his Uber home. Great night, but the ending kind of unsettled him and spoiled his mood. Oh well, next time he'll think twice before calling random numbers. Standing by the solemn, empty sidewalk surrounded by pitch black and illuminated by a streetlight, his ride pulled up. The driver was pretty bundled up and scared, but hey, it's cold out.
Andrew?
Asked the driver.
Yep,
Andrew said, getting in the back. Looking out of the window, exhaustion began setting in. Bored, Andrew pulled out his phone. One text message. Hello, this is your Uber driver, Sam. I'm waiting outside, but I don't see you. Andrew's stomach drops. The sound of the door lock slamming shut is deafening in the silence.
I found you.
Andrew snaps his head up, but he's much too late. Icy dead hands shoot out, clamp around his throat, squeeze until he can barely gasp. With a swift, brutal snap, it's lights out for Andrew. The car looped back around to the Denny's. The driver reached out and let another business card flutter to the ground, ready for the next call. I can tell you from experience, don't prank call random business cards. HR. Brian sat at his cubicle, bored but focused. His prescription glasses have the blue filter on them, but damn, that computer screen didn't still give him a headache after a 12-hour shift. Brian has deadlines, and more deadlines. Excel spreadsheets, corporate online classes on workplace inclusivity, and no less than 15 Teams meetings this week. If hell exists, it's full of office workers in an endless grid of cubicles, typing until their fingers are nothing but bloody stumps. Just recently, Brian had missed a deadline on a project on analyzing the synergy of the workers on the 27th floor. He only missed it by an hour and realized that the email in Outlook, in fact, did not send. Brian quickly hit send, and the window disappeared on his screen, cringing. Brian tried to go about his business, which is actually just more business. So much business. A window popped up in the bottom right corner of his screen. From Frankfurt Dolores. CC 248. Corporate Leadership. Subject: Missed deadline. Body. Brian, please report to the HR office immediately to discuss an urgent matter regarding recent performance metrics. Thank you. Dolores Frankfurt, Human Resources. Brian's blood ran cold. The name Dolores strikes fear in the heart of mid-level grunts from floor 17 to 47. He stood up, groaning as the blood began circulating in his legs again. Pins and needles pricked all the way up to his groin. The first few steps towards the elevator were a pained waddle. The elevator doors opened, and a cold gust of air hit Brian's face, making his eyes water. "Please take a seat," said Dolores, sitting next to her cohort, Jenny Robinson. Brian sidled over to the chair, set precariously close to the edge of the roof, and sat down, hands squeezing his pant legs in a white knuckle grip, like a man hanging onto a ledge. "Hi, Brian. How are you today?" asked Dolores in a formal but cheerful tone. "I'm good," Brian croaked out, trying to keep panic out of his tone and failing. "Your manager has been sending us some very concerning trends in your productivity that do not align with our company mission," Jenny said in a dry, clipped tone. "Did you have a reason for missing your deadline today?" I didn't mean to. I'm sorry," Brian spluttered out, beginning to lose his composure. "Sorry doesn't make deadlines," clipped Jenny. "Your manager said that you were sorry every other time you wasted precious corporate time." Dolores put on a practiced, sympathetic expression. "I'm afraid that we're going to have to let you go this time." Brian tried to shoot out of his chair, but something like glue kept his pants stuck to the seat. Dolores reached under the desk and sighed. "I'm sorry it has to be like this, and thank you for all your years of service." With that, she pressed the button, and Brian's seat fell back over the edge. "Always double-check your email sent. It's got me a couple times." The auction. In 2070, mined auctions became all the rage, the absolute epitome of decadence. Debt or memory, choose one, or be cast to the colonies. The most common form of these auctions are partial memory removal. The auctioneer rattling off memories of firstborn children being born to 21st birthday parties. Child's play. Having some young blonde's one-night stand is the sort of thrill that a plebeian would indulge in. Enticing. But alike to tasting a crumb from a cake, as opposed to having it all to yourself. That's what we bid for. Everything. Everything that a person is. Leaving the poor fool to sell themselves a dribbling babe. That's what I bid for, and I win my bids often. It starts with an invitation. No common upstarts allowed, I'm afraid. Then the preview, where we view the vessels. Don't judge us monsters, as only the most heinous of financial delinquents are utilized. And they regain functionality within 5 years or so. Empty vessels are sent off to re-education camps to relearn the basics of walking, obeying, and basic bathroom functions. It's a dreadful process, but all things said and done, they do make great cocktails. Now, for the main event. As the chase is the life of the hunt. A pitch-black stage looks out on an audience of 10 clients, myself included, as well as a gathering of diamonds, sipping cocktails and basking in unattainable wealth. Though the willing vessels often resist, restraints keep the show civilized. A stage light shines on the auctioneer, an elegantly attired showman. He calls out the name, sex, and most important of all, the age. A well-aged vessel is imperative. Not too old, but old enough to have experienced the full spectrum of life without the pains of old age. Then, the light shines down on the vessel, a kicking and screaming young woman of 35.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start the bidding at 2 million.
In such a refined event, one might expect a polite silent bidding. Such is not the case. We howl, bark, whine, like hounds around a treed prey. Coming to blows is uncommon, but not unheard of. And when one stands above the rest, victorious among the proven lesser men, he is then invited to the stage, where he is connected directly to the vessel by cabled Neuralink, and then he feeds. The sensation, I hear, is akin to being ripped apart, having your essence dismembered by a ravenous beast that hungers not for flesh, but your soul. Tearing through memories, devouring morsels, whilst casting aside gristle and the screams, a sweet symphony to accompany this buffet of hedonistic desire. Regretfully, the process is not without suffering, for what is suffering that is not remembered? Cheers spill forth at the bloody spectacle. Then the vessel, a sweating, drooling heap of soiled, used flesh, is cast aside to be recycled. The revelries continue until a light shines on the next vessel, still fighting and screaming from the feeding next to them. Just be careful with your credit card. Thank you for listening. All stories were written by myself, the Midnight Narrator.